listening to an interview I recorded for Behind the Vinyl, a different podcast I co-host from time to time. You can find them on Instagram at Behind the Vinyl Pod and anywhere podcasts are available. And now let's get on with the interview. Pool Kids, the math-influenced four-piece from Florida, just put out their self-titled sophomore album last month, and it's been dazzling listeners everywhere. Today we have the privilege of hearing from singer and guitarist Christine Goodwine. Christine, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So first question, and it's kind of heavy, actually.
Nice. I like getting straight to it.
Yeah, we're getting right in. Nice. So at the time of recording this interview, as I mentioned earlier, it's been over a month since you released your self-titled album. Has it been met with all the support you had hoped? You know, like what's turned out how you expected? What are maybe some results you hadn't predicted?
Yes, it's definitely, I tried to go into this album cycle really having only done it once before, like releasing music, a full album once before. And I went into it this time intentionally not wanting to have any real like numbers goals, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I
definitely.
hope it gets this many streams or whatever, just because like I feel like that's kind of setting yourself up for like possible disappointment, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And I'm definitely glad that I did that. But it's been like exceeding any goals I could have had anyway.
It's fantastic.
And it's just been really heartwarming to see the number of people it's reaching, as well as like how deeply it seems to be connecting with people. And more than anything, I'm just happy that we didn't let down our previously existing fans. That was one thing that I did have in mind, because I didn't want to like make a totally new thing. Like I didn't want to be like, whoa, like Pool Kids threw a total curveball and now they're this totally different band. Like I still wanted it to be a Pool Kids record. I just wanted it to be like bigger and better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's definitely a lot different than our first record. So I was like slightly concerned that all the people were going to be like, you know, they're not doing the like emo math rock thing quite as much, but everyone seems to be like very jazzed about it. So I'm happy that we didn't like lose all of our OG fans.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's always, it sounds like it's turned out how you had probably hoped, right? Or better even.
But yeah, definitely better. I was not expecting for Vanity Fair to acknowledge us.
I was shocked to see that article. It was really good. So I was actually doing some research, reading some articles, and you've done a lot recently with interview wise.
Yeah.
You know, similar to kind of what you were just talking about. I did read the Stereogum interview and write up for this release, which was very comprehensive.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on something that you said about wanting to be more than just a math rock band that only other musicians like, and trying to make songs more catchy rather than technical.
Yes, that was a huge focus of mine personally.
Awesome.
Because Safe Sex, our debut album, was a lot, whether I realized it or not, I think I did realize it, but I was definitely trying to like prove myself as like a female guitarist and musician in general, because it was my first real like debut, you know, as like a songwriter and stuff like that. And as a, you know, person who's been playing guitar since I was a little kid and stuff like that. And I felt like I had to like really prove like, look what I can do. Like I can tap and sing, you know, like do all the flashy stuff. And I wasn't as focused on just making a song that people would actually want to listen to. I mean, luckily there was people that did want to listen to that. But I don't know. I just wanted, you can kind of fall into a trap when you are so focused on making something interesting and like technically proficient, and you kind of fall into this thing where like you're only engaging other people that are also in that world, and not necessarily like, I'm kind of making sweeping statements, I guess, but you know, your average like Joe isn't gonna want to like sit and just like watch you, you know, like flex on guitar and stuff. And I just wanted to make music that I would actually want to sit down and like listen to. And I don't want to sit down and listen to myself like showing what I can do on guitar. 1 second. So yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, I love the songs on Safe Sex, and there's like definitely at least a handful that really will always like be special to me and that I can connect with emotionally. But there's a lot of moments where I'm like, wow, like why did I have to like randomly abruptly change what I was doing and insert this like stupid riff, you know, like why can't I just let it like kind of melt into that really emotional part and let it stay there and maybe like write a freaking chorus for once, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I guess that's where my head was at with that.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think that's a great goal to have, especially coming from that first album. And I would actually argue here that you're kind of killing two birds with one stone, that maybe in making a record that even casual listeners will like really enjoy, you're probably getting a lot of respect from your peers as well for that very reason. Have you found that to be true?
You mean like getting respect like because they're more standard structures
like,
and stuff?
You know, because in writing stuff that more people are inclined to listen to, other artists will still think that it's cool.
Yeah, it seems to be in general. I am noticing that people are like developing sort of an appreciation for like pop music and, you know, just like standard. Like I think people are realizing like, hey, it's actually hard to write a pop song, you know, like it's sort of an accomplishment to be able to do that. And yeah, I think people are getting like more of a respect for it, I guess. And yeah, people seem to be like liking and respecting the hooks and stuff. So
right. And I think that's really interesting and something that a lot of people don't think about enough. I think you're right. Like, because, you know, pop is pop because it appeals to a wide range of people. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't, you know, because people don't want to like what everyone else likes. But there's a reason why it appeals to so many people. And it can't
good.
be easy. Exactly.
That's why. And so it's hard to make something good. It's easy to make like a shitty song that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, and it really is like people like talk about certain moments in Safe Sex and other, you know, like math rock things where they're like, whoa, like, how did you think to like randomly stop this part and start doing this random riff? And I'm like, it honestly is so much easier to do that, to just take all of these random riffs you're writing and just smash them together than it is to like think of something cohesive, you know? I'm like, it's really not, it's easier to do that, you know? Like you just smash them all together with no thought.
I think that's a really like fresh way to look at it.
This band trying to learn how to write a chorus was one of the biggest challenges we've ever had, for sure.
When you were working on these songs, was that more of a communal effort, or was it still mostly you doing like, I guess, you know, lyrics and
it was like,
writing?
There's a couple songs where Andy wrote the chords. Like Andy wrote the chords in like the main, like he wrote the guitar parts in Physics Baby, and he also brought like the guitar parts for Swallow to the table. I did all of the like skeleton writing for all the other songs and stuff, and did like all the vocals and lyrics and that stuff. But I would like bring the skeleton. I think this is kind of how it is with most bands. I would bring the skeleton and the demo to the table, and then as a full band, we would like rip it apart and like put it back together, turn it inside out, do all that stuff.
And that's funny because you mentioned That's Physics Baby. I think there was a comment also on the Stereo Gum article that was like, because I think they were talking about you trying to move away from like just math rock, and they were like, but they have a song that's called That's Physics Baby, so it's got to be math rock adjacent. That was funny. I don't know, maybe you guys invented a new subgenre, physics rock.
Yeah, instead of math rock. Yeah, that's science. Well, I guess physics is like math and science. I don't know. I like failed the fuck out of physics, I think.
Engineering rock, I don't know.
STEM rock.
But also on that same note, you mentioned that you're less concerned with proving yourself as a woman guitarist because you feel that you've proved yourself enough. Was there a time that you can point to when that mindset changed for you?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's really a pinpoint. I bet you once I like think about it for long enough, I probably could figure something out. But I don't know. I think after just feeling like enough people like heard Safe Sex and like realized that it was me on the guitars, I felt like it was like, okay, like do you get it, like will you accept me, you know? But now I like don't have to be as concerned about that like acceptance, I guess, which I don't even know why I felt like I needed acceptance from like math rock bros in the first place, but you know. So
you were in like what, a guitar class in high school, and you were like the only girl in the class?
I think I was pretty much the only girl. Yeah.
Okay.
There was another girl actually. Yeah. But yeah.
So did then kind of moving away from like feeling you had to prove yourself, was that like a very like freeing feeling on this album? And did you think that it maybe let you, I don't know, write without as many boundaries maybe?
Yeah. It made me like, it was just more enjoyable because it's more enjoyable to write music that I actually find catchy and that I actually would like want to turn on, even if it like, you know, wasn't made by these people I love, you know, and it's like, it was just so much more like fulfilling to be in the studio creating things and chasing like, oh, this sounds good, this feels good, rather than like, this is cool, this looks cool, this looks impressive, you know. And it really like unlocked this whole new, I guess, just area of my life that I didn't realize how much I could really enjoy like being in a studio and like crafting like songs and stuff until this record, for sure. Just the enjoyment is like way higher.
Definitely. This is the last mention I'll make of that article. It was just, there was so much information packed into it. There's a lot of questions I had.
Yeah.
There was a line from, I believe it was Talk Too Much, and was basically praising it as one of the cleverest lines on the record. And I think musicians, after spending so much time with the tracks on an album, have a very different idea of their own music than listeners do. And so do you have your own proudest moment from this album that's like audible?
Honestly, that when Hannah pointed out that line, the people like you, and like the word like switching its meaning there, I was so fucking stoked that Hannah like picked up on that, because like, well, first of all, Hannah's like a writer, so they got really in depth with all the lyrics, which I really enjoyed talking about. But they also like found all this clever stuff that I didn't intend, that I honestly wished I intended, because I was like, man, that's so smart. I wish I did it on purpose, but I definitely didn't. But they caught that, and that was intentional, and I'm so proud of that. And I wish, I'm like, was glad I got an opportunity to like talk about it and like nerd out about it. But yeah, it's supposed to be like people like you, like saying like, oh, people like you, people that are similar to you. But then it's also like people like you, like people enjoy you, like, because I'm talking about people like you who do all this stuff, and then it's frustrating because people like you because you're like, you know, manipulative or whatever. And yeah, I don't know, I was proud of that.
And people like you, and people like you, 'cause people like you, they know how to get what they want. And to people like you, they know how to get ahead. They'll twist around what you never said. They'll chase you back and forth again. People like you, they know like you. If you had to, you could get the things that you like.
There's this other chunk in Comes in Waves, the bridge in Comes in Waves, that like, the bad part about it is I feel like it's kind of like heady, like it's a little too like, I don't like when lyrics sometimes sound like too like poetic and like beautiful and kind of like pretentious, I guess. And I think the bridge in Comes in Waves teeters on that, but I'm also really proud of it because it was something I had written for years ago, definitely also before Safe Sex had come out, I think in like 2016 or 17.
Okay.
And it's just this like few verses about, it's supposed to be like a metaphor for like jealousy in like relationships and stuff. It, I don't know, just has some cool like metaphors with plants and like green with envy type stuff, like colors. And it was, I like never write in that style, and I like couldn't believe that I was able to like pull it off. I'm like, whoa, every line in this like actually means something and actually makes sense and it sounds cool. And I was like, that was like the greatest feeling ever. I don't think I'll ever be able to like write something like that again, but I'm glad that it happened.
Yeah.
The searing bulb, the praise, they never see the natural sun. I am the green of every seed, while holding fertile blossoms shut. The bind of every grip around the bases of their ripened stems. But when they look so precious, but only by my side. I don't know why. Tell me now what's on.
Well, that's so cool. I love to hear, you know, that from like the artist perspective. And yeah, I did hear that. And that's not something that I was like, oh, she never writes like this, but I like this. No, but it was just very much oh, cool.
That was one of my like biggest goals for this record too, was to make lyrics that I was proud of. Because in the last record, it was kind of just like I was just trying to get the songs out as soon as possible, and a lot of the lyrics were just like they were like filler lines, and I didn't want any like filler lines on this record. I was like, I want everything to like be the good line, and I am definitely a lot happier with how the lyrics came out in this record.
Yeah. And on your first record too, you know, after just kind of writing a song, wanting to be done with it, and that was more or less what got tracked. With this one, I understand you put a lot more into deconstructing and exploring everything you wrote. So the big question here is, I think, when is a song considered done for you?
When everyone stops having like critiques.
Okay. Just take a vote.
It was funny. Someone asked us, one other person has asked us that question. And I was like, yeah, I think it's just when everyone stops complaining. Like when we finally all can listen to it and be like, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, which sometimes it takes a long time to get there, but I would say that's when it's done.
It's not a secret, I think, that this new album is a lot more polished. There was more time that went into it, whereas the last one, you know, it's its own entity, you know, it stands alone, but it was very much more DIY, not to mention it was just you and Caden writing everything. So in your experience, what are some things you liked or didn't like about this new process versus your last one?
I don't think there was much I didn't like. The only thing that was harder was not having, you know, full say on stuff. Like there was parts that I loved, but now I have a full band of people who all have their own opinions, and it's like there was this part at the end of Conscious Uncoupling where before it goes into the before it goes into that part, it was supposed to be just this halftime like like it was just a different tapping riff, and I was so attached to that, and I maybe even still kind of like want that part, but I am still totally fine with how it came out, and I love that song and I think it's great. But yeah, having to like let go of things that I wanted, you know, because other people like want certain things, that was like hard, but it's completely worth it to, I don't know, be able to make something as like a full band.
Yeah, and have like immediate feedback on everything, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, on the bright side, maybe you can save those things for other songs in the future.
Yeah. The band's also not huge on like recycling things from the past though. So that's like another thing that like I kind of wish, you know.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, I would totally love to like use that, but then they're like
you already did this.
That has LP2 DNA. So we have to be in LP3 territory now.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It does make sense, but it was great.
Yeah. And we keep making mentions of your first album. This isn't like, you know, new or anything, but it got a shout out from Haley Williams. You know, it's a piece of information I found in many articles. Is there any story behind it? Because that was one thing I did. I was like, oh, how did this happen?
So the day that it happened, it was on April Fool's Day, which is like a sick joke on the universe for Haley Williams. Shout us out on April Fool's Day. But we had dropped. Do you know about Pool? Oh, you're in for a treat. Okay, so Pool Kids released a 2-song hardcore like 7-inch with like Nicolette and I screaming like on the top of our lungs, just like type music, you know.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and we dropped it on April Fool's Day, and you know, as a joke or whatever, we were like, you know, we're done with that emo shit. Like this is the type of music we make now or whatever. And it was funny because to us, even still, like when I listen to those songs, they sound like such a joke to me. Like all of us think it sounds ridiculous. It sounds so stupid and bad in my opinion, but people fucked with it. And I was like, damn, that's awesome. Yeah. So I can feel you breathing. You're feeling this room. I can hear you singing. I watch you in the fucking room. I see you facing the guilty blood. You're thunder screaming, and I know it like the back of my fucking head. really overwhelmed by the response to that. I mean, no one still listens to it, but they were definitely hyped about it for like a week. And there was just like some buzz around that. And I think my hypothesis is the buzz around that is what Haley Williams must have come across. Because there's no other like degree between us and Haley Williams. And it happened on that day. It was like we dropped Pool. Everyone was like, what the fuck? This, emo band made these songs. This is crazy. And then it was like, bam, Haley Williams. Thank God she listened to our actual record and not I'm assuming she probably listened to both, just given the day it was. But and then she just put us on her Instagram story. And I was at work. I was working at this school, like within a mental health facility for kids, and I couldn't really check my phone. But I like peeked at it, and I saw like a preview text, I think from Caden in the group chat, that said like, no one do anything, or like no one post anything until Christine sees the Haley thing. And I don't know if it said Haley Williams or I just saw that Haley was spelled with a Y the way she spelled it. And I was like, what, like, whoa, what the fuck did I just see like on my phone? And I had to put my phone up because I was like in a meeting and stuff. And I was just like, what is going on? What is going on? And then I finally got off work and like looked at my phone, just like blowing up of people like, oh my God, did you see? And it was, that was just the craziest day ever. We'll definitely never top that. I mean, that's okay. Fine. I'm happy it happened. And I think about it all the time. Anytime I hear Paramore now, I just think about how that happened. And I'm like, oh my God. And I actually DM'd her. I was like, this is my chance to like tell her how much I love her.
Yeah, do it.
And so I DM'd her and was like, I just want to say thank you so much. Like, I've been looking up to you since I was like 12, stuff like that. And she responded and was so nice. And she super, super genuine, like gave me like, I feel like as long of a text back as I gave her. And it was just like, super, super nice. And was like, oh, well, like check out your tour dates, and I think we had already played Nashville or something. And she was, just crazy nice. And then that was just a whole nother layer on top of it. Like, oh my God, like I talked to her and it's just crazy.
That's so cool.
I know you're not supposed to like idolize people, but I idolize Haley Williams.
Yeah. I think that's an okay one to idolize.
I agree.
Well, that's so cool. And did you get to meet her in person?
No,
one
messaged
day.
Her. Yeah, I think we had just played Nashville or something like that. So she like missed that. And then the next time we played Nashville, I was like, I mean, she did say she wanted to come. Like, maybe I can hit her up. And I did. And she responded again, which is nice. But she was like, sorry, I'm like at Bonnaroo. And I was like, of course you are, because you're Haley Williams.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I need to stop like bugging her. So I did. But who knows? Maybe one day. She recently shouted out Sweet Pill, which is a band I've been writing for a minute now. And we finally got to play a show with Sweet Pill, definitely in a very similar vein as Pool Kids. So if anyone's listening to this as a fan of Pool Kids, you should check out Sweet Pill. They just also released a record this year that's so fucking good. But Haley Williams shouted them out on her podcast. So now I'm like, okay, if Pool Kids and Sweet Pill play a show in Nashville when Haley Williams is there, like,
gotta do it.
Maybe something can happen. I don't know. Yeah. We gotta lure her out.
A lot of moving pieces, but it'll work.
Yeah.
I actually I've heard some of that album from Sweet Pill, and I actually found their music through yours. So
nice.
Like Spotify just, like recommended it based off of
Spotify doing its thing.
Oh yeah. And that shout out, from what I understand, gave you a lot of confidence, in the writing and recording process for this new album. I imagine that's super helpful when it comes to like experimentation, but were you ever worried about being like overconfident, or that you were like overthinking anything along the way, or did support like this just completely help to dispel any of those thoughts?
There's always going to be like overthinking in like an album writing process, and there's always going to be, I mean, I've only been a part of writing 2 albums now, but from my experience and from like everyone else I've ever talked to who's made a record, and from all the records Andy's been on, it's like, it's just going to be like an emotional roller coaster of like, there's always going to be a moment where you like hit rock bottom and everything sounds like absolute ass to you. And you're like all looking at each other like, holy shit, like we have made a terrible record. Like this is the worst thing I've ever heard. Like it's just going to happen. And we absolutely had those moments. But yeah, we definitely were still had a lot more confidence going into this with support from like, just with all the support in general, being like reassured. I am really insecure about my vocals, mainly just live. I can always have pitch correction on a record, but it's definitely really, really helped over the years. Just like people reassuring me like, oh, your vocals like sounded really good and stuff after I think they sound like shit. I still think they're wrong. Like I know when I'm flat, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like people will still tell me I sound good, but it's really, really reassuring to be like, okay, even if I sound like shit, there's still people that think I sound fine. So I don't know. That's not really answering your question.
No, that completely answered my question. What are you talking about?
Okay. Well, I guess that's more talking about live and not really in the studio.
Oh, well, but we've got some live questions too. So it's a great segue.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Let's hear them.
So I wanted to talk quickly about how this album is kind of a breakup album. And it's evident too. I mean, there's a lot of emotion behind those lyrics. Now that you've, I'm assuming, recovered from it all, do you ever find that you have to work yourself up to perform some of those songs, or is the whole performance mindset just like enough to work yourself up?
Honestly, it's sort of like the latter of what you just said. Okay. I don't really have to work myself up to sing stuff. I don't know. You sort of like sing something until like the emotions got. I think there's a Phoebe Bridgers lyric about that. like sing it until the emotions gone or something. I don't know. But it's true. Like, and this is probably disappointing for some people to hear that feel like they really connect to the emotion and the lyrics. But it's like when I'm performing, it's like my mind is on so many things. Like I'm trying to like switch my pedals at the right time and like not fuck up the guitar part and like somehow try to like not be flat when I'm singing. And it's just like the last thing I'm like thinking about is like actually emotionally connecting to the lyrics, which is something I want to work on, not being so stressed about doing everything. And I want to be more like in the moment when I'm performing. And maybe once I achieve that, maybe I will actually feel things when I play. But you know, time will tell. Yeah.
And I think you guys have all mentioned before that it can be kind of a cathartic experience to release negative emotions when you play your music. I know a lot of artists share in that sentiment. But for you, playing these songs over and over, do you find it helps to get rid of those emotions, or is it more just a very effective coping mechanism and they kind of go away at their own rate?
I like personally, and I feel like I never hear other songwriters saying this, so maybe I'll just say it and maybe someone else will relate to it. I like don't really find songwriting to be like therapeutic. I've experienced it before. Like I will say Borderline was like kind of therapeutic in a way, maybe because it was like I was going through such a horrible thing. And then I loved the song so much that it at least felt like, oh, something pretty came out of this. Like now I have this like, you know, beautiful song that I love. So something good came out of it. But other than that, it's just like, I don't know. It doesn't make me feel better.
So then,
yeah. Andy was the one that said that, like, oh, it's nice to like, you know, release some negative emotions. So maybe it's, I don't want to speak for him, but maybe it's like therapeutic for him. But I unfortunately don't find it very therapeutic.
Is performing it then a therapeutic aspect for you, or is there no part of it that is?
Honestly, not really. Like, I'm so freaking stressed when we're performing that it's like, that's not, if anything, that's just adding more anxiety. Like, I don't know. It's kind of not. I wish it were. I really, really wish it were. But just being like completely honest in my answers, it's really not.
That's all we want. That's all we can ask for. Right. So, yeah. I see you're playing a show back in Tallahassee on the 19th. Are you really psyched for that?
Yeah. Especially because it's in collaborations with V89, which is FSU's college radio station that I used to DJ at and be PR director for. And Nicolette also used to DJ there.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And it's, that place was like my entire college experience. And Pool Kids also definitely would not exist if I never joined V89, because that's what got me going to shows and like exposing me to this whole world that I had no idea existed like in high school. So very, very excited to team up. And also like, it was like, it's funny because it's the V89 birthday bash. And like when I was PR director, I had to like plan so many of those and like slave over so many of those, and now it's like, oh, cool. Now I get to just like show up and play it.
Yeah.
You know?
Probably never
It's
thought
funny.
you'd be doing that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you can like kind of go and like critique how it was planned because you know how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, like, did you make a promo video? Yeah. Let's see that promo video.
Compare the two.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear. When was the last time you played a show in that area?
Oh, gosh.
It hasn't been a while.
I always joke that anytime I play a show, it's like immediately vanished from my memory. Andy has such a good mental record. He'd be able to tell you the exact date, like on the spot. I think it was in like 19. I think it was a house show that we played in Tallahassee. And that went crazy. The power went out.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, there was like a power surge, but we were able to continue the show. So,
well, that's good. That's all that matters.
Yes.
And so we've been talking about like your bandmates a lot, and I think that we should talk about them some more. I know, like in terms of musical interests, because that's very important. Kate and Andy tend to gravitate toward metal. Nicolette knows a lot about jazz, bringing something very unique to the table. By the sounds of your music, there are many genres of inspiration at play here. So what are some of those other genres, and do you think the variety of all your interests is helpful to producing the final product that is uniquely Pool Kids?
I think that it's like an interesting little like fact about us, like that we have all these crazy interests, but like, for example, Nicolette knows a bunch about jazz and stuff, but she like actively tries to not like make like jazz parts and like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like that's like separate. Like I sort of feel like I mean, as much as you can, like I'm sure there's some, subconscious influence, but like Andy just tries to make parts that sound like Andy, and Caden tries to make parts that sound like Caden. And we just try to, bring Pool Kids DNA to Pool Kids songs. But then if you sit in the van, like it's crazy. The different stuff that you hear playing depending on who has the aux.
You guys collaborate on any playlists? That would be
we
insane.
have this one playlist. I don't know who actually has it on their Spotify, but it's like we're doing a late night drive and we have to stay awake, and I don't know, it's just a really funny playlist. And
That's
it's like
great.
At this point it's like the same 10 songs every time, but it's going. We always like beat the roof of the van and like the windows to like the boom, boom, boom. And like, I don't know. It's fun.
I love it.
Yeah, we have a good time.
Well, I feel like we were talking about like keeping the jazz separate. I feel like having a jazz background can never hurt. It's like the root of all music. Well, all modern music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it can though. I feel like it can. I know nothing about it, but just judging by the way Nicolette talks about it, like I see where her head is at when she says she tries not to. I don't know. There's also like an element of if you know too much, it can like hinder you because you're like, oh, well, I don't want to do this because this, you know what I mean? And then you get in your head about that.
Good point. Rather
than sometimes the answer is so simple and like all the other knowledge can get in the way.
Right.
And just doing what sounds best.
Honestly, some really great things can come from just something that's maybe it's not technically correct, but it sounds good. So who cares?
Right. So you should just let yourself do it.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Okay. Well, I've got one last question to kind of close it out.
Cool.
We started off the interview talking about how things have been going since you released your new album a little over a month ago. So in another month, what else do you hope to be looking back fondly on? I guess, in other words, what are you really looking forward to coming up?
Really just looking forward to playing these songs in front of people that want to hear them. And because we've been playing some of the new songs live for actually a while now, but like no one knew the song. So it was kind of just like, it was like received well and it was fun, but I can't wait to like play them to our fans who like now have had a minute to like really grow to like love the song and like go hype and stuff. That I'm very much looking forward to, and I know we all are. And we're going to be able to do that on tour in a couple weeks, actually.
Sick. I
guess this is a good spot for me to just plug the tour dates.
Perfect. Yeah.
But we're playing with the Mountain Goats in a couple weeks, and then we're playing with Origami Angel and Insignificant Other this fall, a full US. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Those are going to be some fantastic lineups. I can't wait to see you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to play them.
Pool Kids isn't just the band that once got a shout out from the lead singer of Paramore. With their recent self-titled album, they continue to exceed expectations, and I have a feeling we'll be hearing from them again very soon. Christine, thanks again. This was really fun.
Thank you so much.
Of course.